What is SeaWorld? The average American knows SeaWorld as a zoo for aquatic animals of all shapes and sizes. SeaWorld is a popular tourist site and has 3 locations: SeaWorld Orlando, SeaWorld San Diego, and SeaWorld San Antonio. People come to SeaWorld to see many different types of aquatic life, but especially the killer whales. SeaWorld, however, is much more than a nice place to visit. SeaWorld provides top care for injured animals. They help conservation efforts for wild sea life, and they are a leader in killer whale research. Thanks to SeaWorld, we have increased human knowledge on many different aquatic species. SeaWorld staff closely monitors their aquatic studies for patterns and signs of intelligence, but much of what is known today about killer whales came from SeaWorld. By studying the reproductive patterns of killer whale population at SeaWorld, we have learned a great deal about how killer whales have produced healthy offspring. This would be virtually impossible. SeaWorld is a great place. Not only is it an animal sanctuary in a dangerous world, but it is a place of learning. Scientists are able to study our planet's aquatic life up close and in person. People are able to visit these magnificent creatures and enjoy nature. SeaWorld is a phenomenal place, and people will continue to come and learn about the Earth's wonderful aquatic animals. SeaWorld is the perfect way to get people interested in animal conservation. With all of SeaWorld's spectacular animals, they show the public that these animals are lively and need our help to survive in the wild. SeaWorld has donated millions of dollars to help with the preservation of wild animals and their collapsing environment. Since 1996, the killer whale population in the wild has declined nearly 20%. Scientists have found that toxic pollution, habitat degradation, and stress from an increasing amount of vessel traffic are all implicated. Combine all these threats with the ever-present risks of oil spills, boat collisions, and diseases, and we may witness an extinction of the Pacific Northwest's most magnificent and charismatic species within the next century. SeaWorld is a wonderful way to teach everyone about the wild animals in the oceans around the world. Thanks to SeaWorld, people who would never in their lifetime see a majestic animal like a dolphin or a stingray now have an easy way to do so. Even if people could go out into the wild to see these animals, it would only harm the wild aquatic life, and eventually we would destroy what little habitat is left to the animals by trying to see them in the wild. Recently, a so-called documentary has come out called Blackfish. Blackfish is claimed to be a documentary. However, a documentary is supposed to see both sides to a story. Blackfish is one-sided. Blackfish was created by animal activists and disgruntled ex-employees of SeaWorld. Blackfish is just a collection of video footage and interviews that display only the negative moments in the long and vast history of SeaWorld. It is shameful what Blackfish has tried to do, trying to eliminate a business dedicating to helping aquatic animals. SeaWorld said this about Blackfish. Blackfish is billed as a documentary, but instead of a fair and balanced treatment of a complex subject, the film is inaccurate and misleading, and regrettably exploits a tragedy that remains a source of deep pain for Don Princhu's family and friends and colleagues. To promote its bias that killer whales should not be maintained in a zoological setting, the film paints a distorted picture that withholds from viewers key facts about SeaWorld. Among them, that SeaWorld is one of the world's most respected zoological institutions, that SeaWorld rescues, rehabilitates, and returns to the wild hundreds of animals every year, and that SeaWorld commits millions of dollars annually to conservation and scientific research. Perhaps most important, the film fails to mention that SeaWorld is committed to safety of its team members and guests, and to the care and welfare of its animals, as demonstrated by the company's continual refinement and improvement to its killer whale facilities, equipment, and procedures both before and after the death of Don Princhu. Describing the incident with SeaWorld trainer Ms. Princhu at the 1 hour and 9 minute mark in Blackfish Jet, a former SeaWorld employee, said, "Tilcomb at some point grabbed hold of her left forearm and started to drag her, and eventually did a barrel roll and pulled her in. This is a shocking statement indeed, but in response to that particular scene, SeaWorld said, Jet had not worked at SeaWorld in 17 years and had limited interaction with killer whales. His account is pure speculation. Jet's account is confirmed as speculation in the OSHA hearing about the incident. With two eyewitnesses, SeaWorld trainer Jan Boskowski and a SeaWorld security officer to the incident, they go on record. SeaWorld trainer Jan Topolsky said that Miss Michaud was pulled in by her ponytail. Miss Michaud, after 16 years of experience, had become too comfortable with working with killer whales and had made a mistake. We're at 14-minute mark in Blackfish. Mario was quoted saying, "All whales in captivity have a bad life. They're all emotionally destroyed. They're all psychologically traumatized. So they are ticking time bombs. It's not just telecom." The way that her statement is perceived, it sounds like her opinion is the opinion of the scientific community. It is not. There is no scientific evidence to support such a blatant statement. To the contrary, the Journal of Zoo and Aquarium Research published a paper in 2013 that discussed the history of this very issue. Killer whales in captivity have an excellent standard of living and have access to food and state-of-the-art medical care. The bond between the whales and their trainers is clearly evidence of a positive and peaceful relationship. SeaWorld is adamant about keeping mother whales and their young together in order to provide an encouraging and comfortable environment. Blackfish has also stated that whales in captivity live shorter lives than they do in the wild. In response to this claim, SeaWorld said, SeaWorld's killer whales' lifespans are equivalent to those in the wild. While studies continue to define the average lifespan of killer whales in the wild, the most recent scientific evidence suggests that our killer whales' lifespans are comparable. Indeed, 5 of our animals are older than 30 years old, and one of our whales is close to 50 years old. Blackfish is making false statements to convince people of their opinion. Killer whales are endangered, and such it is illegal to hunt them. However, the notion that you can simply outsource something does not make the activity go away. This has been proven time and time again to be false. The continuing demand for ivory being a prime example. It's clear when looking at the facts given by SeaWorld that Blackfish portrays an inaccurate picture of SeaWorld. SeaWorld has a long history of commitment to wildlife, which is obviously evident given the amount of beneficial research that SeaWorld has provided. The ocean being a mystery to most of the world, SeaWorld has helped decrease the gap of knowledge in aquatic environments. Because of SeaWorld's work, people are able to understand aquatic life better. SeaWorld's commitment to wildlife is also evident in their rehabilitation work with injured aquatic life. It is obvious that SeaWorld is making a positive impact in the field of aquatic research and education. Therefore, it is a uniquely marvelous institution of learning. Continue to aid aquatic life in our ever-changing world.